Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We're getting ready to record a trip report here with Kelly. And back from marathon weekend. Woohoo. So Scott and I are actually going to record the Friday podcast all about marathon weekend. We have thoughts about the expo. We have thoughts about the races. We have thoughts about, let's see what else. We did some good dining. We're going to do a marathon weekend recap show. We're going to record that tomorrow night at 6:30 Eastern if you want to join us live. So you can do that, or it'll be out. It'll be on the feed really within a couple of hours after that because it comes out late Thursday night. So we'll be recording it. I'll be editing it, uploading it, and bam, it'll go out right on your feed about immediately. So that is tomorrow night, but tonight is a trip report, and we're going to be talking about a place where I just was, Old Key West. It's where Scott stayed. One of my favorite places. Ooh, let me tweet out that we're live real quick. That's what's going on. Real quick. Come join us. Are recording a fun trip. Type would be better. It's hard to I can't see because the microphone's in the way. That. There's a little bit of Disney news yesterday, wasn't there?
Is that the fireworks?
Fireworks and how parking is now free again.
I did not hear that.
Tron opens on April 4th. And today they announced a new CEO of the company from Nike, I think. Let's see, Disneyland, Disney Cruise. Twitter. I got to close Twitter. Twitter is just a distraction. When you follow sports Twitter, you cannot have it open during the evenings.
It's a black hole.
It is. When I record a podcast, I definitely, because I have a big dashboard. I can't look at it during a show.
Yeah.
All righty. Hey, Chris is here. Let's see. Where do you get those shelves? Oh, Amazon. I just Googled shelves. I tried to make them look like Pam Forrester's, and that's the best. But yeah, Amazon. I bought them probably before Thanksgiving because I used my birthday money to get them. That was around my birthday. Yeah, and I think it was like $110. No, I don't think it was that. It was pretty cheap. I got it on sale. So yeah, Amazon. I can't tell you what I could look at my. If you need to know, I'll look at my Amazon history to get you the link. So let me know. I can do that. Yeah, I'm such an interior designer. I just went to Amazon and typed in shelves, and that's what we got. Okay. So this is episode, this is a lucky episode, 2222. Deuce is wild. Okay, here we go. Still good? Good. All right. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode. Sorry, I forgot. Where are you from? I forgot to put that down.
I'm from Pennsylvania.
Gosh, everybody, all the fans are from Pennsylvania.
I heard we just moved here. I heard Pam's from Pittsburgh. That's where we live.
You're in Pittsburgh?
Yep.
Yeah, she's in either Cranberry Township or Mifflintown.
Mm-hmm.
The travel agency's in one and she's in the other.
Gotcha.
You near that area?
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah. I got to get out there sometime. I'll go to a ball game at that stadium.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh my God. My dad says like one of his favorites to see baseball games. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 2222 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you, and happy Dr. King Day. Hopefully, you're having a great day. Maybe you're having a day off, and you can reflect on what a great country we have and how we can all come together to make our country even better here on this wonderful day. So, today, we're going to have a good time as we do. We don't take any days off. We keep on trucking right through the year because the world needs a little bit more trip report in it. We're going to talk about a fun Walt Disney World vacation, and we're talking about one of my favorite Walt Disney World resorts with a great listener of the show. We're headed out Pennsylvania way, out in Pam country. Joining us today, we have listener Kelly. Kelly, happy Monday. How's it going?
It is good. How are you?
Doing great. So how are things out in Pam country? Because you're out near Pittsburgh.
It's good. It's very wet here all the time. It rains a lot.
Pam says this time of year, she says out in, I think it's similar. I'm in St. Louis, so kind of Midwest, but she tells me that gray a lot of the time, snow off and on, cold rains, and that's why she tends to about 50% of the time between late December and maybe April, she spends about half the time in Walt Disney World. Not a bad idea if you can.
I think that's fair. I wish I could do that.
I guess that's why you started a travel agency 20 years ago, because we're
That's
celebrating
true.
20 years. Yeah, she's just smarter than us.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to talk to her.
20 years ago, I was teaching school and working at space camp.
Mhm.
I wasn't future thinking like Pam. Pam had it figured out. So good for her. All right. So today we are going to talk about your recent trip just last month in December down to Walt Disney World. But before we do, let's get a little bit of your background with your Disney fandom and your Disney history. So, what finds you making it all the way to listening to a Disney podcast and all that stuff? So how'd this all start for you?
So my mom was one of the original DVC buyers. She bought in 1992, so I was just a baby. And so my family, we went down to Disney all the time when we were kids, and always stayed at Old Key West. We've stayed at a bunch of the other resorts as well, but we've kind of, we used to go every year. I've been a lot in my life, and now we definitely do it on more of I would say a 3 to 5 year rotation. And we kind of use up all the points at once for a really nice vacation as we've gotten older. So that is, we've just, it's very nostalgic. It feels good to be there. And we hadn't been since 2018. So almost 5 years.
Wow. See, then that takes, I'm not DVC, but Scott is, and I have a lot of friends who are. I would think it takes a lot of discipline to bank those points for that extravagant trip, because I've seen all the promotional stuff the DVC puts out, and it's always like you can bank, you can borrow. I would just be spending like constant. That's what Scott does. Like Scott is always like, Mike, I need you to hook me up with a weekend room because I'm out of points. And I'm like, okay, let's look at Coronado or let's look at Pop Century. We're looking around, because when he's on his points, he's staying at Old Key West, or he's staying at Saratoga, or one of the nice DVC places. But he runs out of points all the time, and a lot of my friends do the same. But again, I guess it's how you use those points and spread them out. So
Yeah,
nicely done. And I guess it's worth it once, because we're going to talk about this trip. I mean, you guys had the 2 bedrooms, so you had a large accommodation, which takes a lot of points, but I guess it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very comfortable.
Let me ask you this too, before we get into the trip. So you have been going, I thought it was cool that, your mom bought into DVC a long time ago. And you mentioned Old Key West, which we're going to talk about, which was the original DVC resort back in the day. Got a new name along the line. What do you remember from those trips as a kid, though? Is there anything that stood out that is no longer around, or something in particular that is, when you were a kid, that was something that was just a highlight for you of Walt Disney World vacations?
I have a sister. She's only a year older than me. And we don't do this anymore, but we always had the autograph books.
Nice.
That were coveted, and there were a few characters that she was the older sister. I wanted to do everything that she did, and there were a couple characters like Captain Hook in particular who just scared the pants off her. And my mom tells this funny story of her just kind of taking off in the Magic Kingdom so scared of him, and she and my grandmother are like trying to chase her down.
I love that. You know what? You mentioned the autograph books because when we started going, and Paige, who's now 26 and up in Chicago now, she was younger. She was 4, 5, 6, 7, and we always got an autograph book every trip. And every year Disney would make them look different. They were kind of the standard blue books, for a while, but then they made like pink ones that were princess themed. Through the years they were different. We had a collection of these books from every trip. I don't know. I mean, let me get your take on this. Do you think the autograph books are still, because they didn't have them for a while, especially during COVID, because of the meet and greets were not happening, right? So you wouldn't want to have autograph books. It'd be kind of weird. But do you think that in this era of like selfie, is the selfie now the autograph, or what do you think? I haven't even thought about that because the autograph book was a central part of our vacation.
That's a good question.
So
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think people want other people to know immediately what they're doing versus the autograph book was just like a thing you get to keep.
I'll give you a quick story though about that real quick, and then we'll jump into your trip. So we're down there for marathon weekend, right? And we ran the 5K. Okay, so Scott and I finished the 5K. We're with Elizabeth, his wife, and we go back into Epcot. We're just going to go about our day and have fun. And so we're just walking around Epcot. We have our medals on. So Pluto's the character for the 5K medal. We're walking towards Mexico, and Pluto's in that little pavilion there to the left as you enter World Showcase there, across from that little store, right across where you get the pink donuts. He's under that, where Duffy used to meet and greet. He's under there, and Elizabeth's like, "Oh, you guys both have on your Pluto medal for the 5K. Get your picture with Pluto." So we're like, "Yeah, okay, we will." So we get in there. Long story, we get our picture with Pluto, and we think like we're winning. Like, all right, we got our picture with Pluto with our Pluto medal. Run into somebody and some other lizards from the team, like no kidding, like 2 minutes later after we got our picture, like, yeah, we did the same thing. And here's where they one-upped us. And yeah, we had them autograph our medals. So
Oh no.
flipping over and Pluto signed their medal. I'm like, oh dude, we didn't even think about that. Like,
Gotta walk around with a Sharpie.
yeah, I know. It was like the ultimate autograph book right there.
Yeah.
The medal. I was like, well, that thing's worth $1,000 on eBay.
That's a good one. That's a good new autograph book.
Just thinking for 2024.
That's an expensive autograph book.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not messing around with anything past the 10K. Too many steps. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about your trip. How did this one come together? Because you guys went down last month. So tell us about the crew that traveled with you, and how did you decide when to go, and how did it all come together?
I was with my mom, my sister, and my sister's husband, so my brother-in-law. And my mom doesn't get too much time off of work. So she happened to have this week off. We went in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We were hoping that it would be a good time in terms of crowds. So we could take off work and not have to deal with kind of the Thanksgiving or the Christmas crowds.
So how do you guys plan? I mean, what is because you guys are veteran travelers, so it's not like you have to go in and like, okay, this is what the Magic Kingdom has, like, the restaurants, the attractions, you know how to get around at Walt Disney World. So you're comfortable with all that. But of course, I think central to any planning of a Disney vacation is like, where do we want to eat? What parks do we want to go to on what day? Are we going to purchase Genie Plus? Any festivals we want to attend? Any hard ticket events? So how did you coordinate that with everybody to make sure everybody was getting, pre-arrival, everybody was going to get what they were looking for out of this trip?
Yeah. So my mom and I, when we were there, we had the entire week to do whatever we wanted. My sister and her husband, they worked part of the week. So they were with us in the parks the second half of the week, and they knew which couple of parks that they wanted to go to. So I made sure those were booked. I'm the one who like did all the booking and that for the group. So made sure that those were in the second half of the week. And then in the beginning half, we just did the other two parks. And it's easy. They're my family. I know their likes and dislikes. So restaurants were pretty easy. There were a lot we had never tried before. I don't think I went to any restaurant that I had been to before, actually. But I know everyone's taste. So it was that one was pretty easy. And the family's pretty easygoing. So
cool. it makes it. I mean, that sounds like
Yeah.
it's the best of both worlds. Everybody's gonna be happy with. That's kind of high. And when I'm down there, I mean, I'll be honest. Like when I travel with Scott for these race weekends, I tell him because he has my MDE account. He's my travel agent for because I do this for everybody else all day long. When we go to race weekends, he has my MDE account. He makes all the theme park reservations, wherever he makes dining reservations. I'm cool with. I'll eat
Yep.
wherever. I'll eat fancy places. I'll eat counter service for the entire weekend. I don't care. Like I'm happy. Whatever. I'm there. I'm having fun with my friends. It does not matter. And it sounds like your family's kind of the same way. They're laid back. They're just going to have a good time no matter what.
Yeah, we agreed at the beginning too. It's nice probably for my mom at this point that we are adults and have our own jobs and she didn't have to pay for our tickets and all of that. So we all agreed at the beginning because we hadn't been in so long and like we had never seen Toy Story Land. We had been there like that long before. And so we knew that like we wanted to prioritize getting a lot of the rides done and a lot of the new stuff. And so we knew before we went, regardless of the crowds, we were going to do Genie Plus every day. That wasn't even a conversation, right? So it was just nice that everyone was kind of on the same page from the beginning.
Sounds good. Okay, let's talk about Old Key West because that's where you stayed. You had, like we mentioned earlier, you had the 2-bedroom. Now, for folks that don't know, and I'm just lucky because again, I'm not DVC, but the best thing in the world would be to be DVC. But the second best thing is to have a good friend who is DVC. That might be even better. I'm just saying because Scott is. So one time before the cruise, my family and Scott's family got together and we stayed in a 2-bedroom at Old Key West. I just paid Scott some cash to kind of, compensate for the points he was using.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to tell you, still to this day, hand on the Bible, this is one of the best trips I ever had. And it was so unexpected. It was so different because we were at Walt Disney World, but again, Scott's, he's my best bud, right? And our families get along real well. My wife gets along great with his wife, Mallory and Emily, his daughter, get along fantastically, but we don't see each other that often because he's in Michigan, I'm in St. Louis. And so when we were there, it was weird because all of a sudden we didn't really want to go to the theme parks because we had this unit was huge. It was
huge.
It was right on the golf course. It had a nice little like sun deck that was screened in, and we had a full kitchen. We were baking cookies. And I mean, it was like we were camping or something, like we were at some fancy camp. And no longer did we want to go to the Magic Kingdom or Epcot, which was very bizarre. I don't know if you had that same kind of experience because again, you guys did go to the parks a lot, but it felt, because I know they really used to push DVC accommodations as home away from home. That's kind of the term they use. They've kind of gotten away from that. But that's exactly how I felt. Like this was like we were home, we were sharing a house, and why leave? Like we're having the best time just hanging out in the playing cards, making cookies, and laughing at people on the green there right outside of our patio. I mean, it was great. But how did you feel about the whole experience?
I would say same. When we went to the parks, like we were in the parks, but we built in rest days, and other than a couple meals that we had on those rest days, we were just like hanging in the room. You can connect and cast to the TV in there. We were watching Disney movies, we're hanging out, we were getting off our feet. Like that's exactly what we do too. It's just nice and comfortable.
It was so much different than say a Pop Century stay. Not in a bad way, but Pop Century, I've always said this, and where were we the other day too? That Scott said he felt this at another resort when we were there for Marathon Weekend. I can't remember where we were, but he said, this place is high energy. Like this place is like, it's moving. And Pop Century is. Old Key West is the anti. It is just laid back. It's almost like a retirement community, but like you don't have to be a certain age. You're just allowed to just chill. Like once you go over that little bridge by the 17th Island Green there on your right, like, okay, you have to chill. Like everybody in here, if you're not chilling, you're getting kicked out. Like you gotta go. Like
it's very laid back. It's nice. It's a nice feeling. Yeah.
It's so great. I mean, steel drum music playing all the time. Just stroll on up to the Gurgling Suitcase or, Goods to Go, or grab, if you're lucky, go get Olivia's for breakfast or lunch or dinner. I don't care, all three.
Mm-hmm.
And life's good. So everybody found, I mean, you guys are Old Key West veterans, but you would recommend that maybe, especially for families looking to spend some time together, right?
Yeah, we really like it. We really like it there. It's not somewhere that we feel like we're, settling to stay compared to any of the other DVC resorts, right? They all have their own pros and cons. That one definitely just feels really comfortable and relaxed. Plus, like we, go play shuffleboard, or you can go on the bikes that they have, or many times we took the boat to Disney Springs. So there's definitely a lot of pros. I would recommend it.
One real quick thing, and then we'll talk about the theme parks next. But did you guys have a car?
No,
because you didn't have a car.
No, we've never had a car down there.
Because I do think that having a car at Old Key West is an advantage, just for the fact that, you could get back in the back of that resort, and it's a long way to get to the front. Now, you can't take the buses, the internal shuttle will get you around, but a car is kind of nice because you can park right up next to your unit, and boom, if you have groceries or your luggage, it is kind of nice. Not, you don't necessarily have to have one, but I think that is a resort where it comes in handy.
That's true. I actually, when I book online, like for DVC, I request it near the hospitality house. So we were just within walking distance of that main entrance. So we never had that problem.
Especially now the parking is back to being complimentary. And I know for DVC it was, but for all of us non-DVC people, woohoo! Finally, we could park our cars without having to pay money or come up with a story. So there we go.
But you're right. That is a very, very, very spread out resort. The internal bus takes forever.
It is, yeah. Because when we were down there with one of the lizards, I forgot who it was, but they got on it. They were we were having a dinner at Olivia's, a bunch of us, and they got on the bus and they ended up going around Old Key West. Like,
oh my gosh,
they'd never been there. Like, this place is huge.
It takes 15 minutes just to get through all of the bus stops, and I feel like you never know if you're going to be first or last. And on the way back from the theme parks in the evening, that main entrance is the last stop. So you're just sitting on the bus waiting.
Yeah, you're like, can we look? We're going right. Oh, we just went
right. Just drop me off.
I know, that's the worst too, because you just see it. You're like, I'm so tired. Just like you don't even have to pull in there to the hospitality house. Just let me off right here by the golf course. I'm good. Like, no, they can't do that. Okay, so let's talk about your time in the theme park. So I like that you took rest days. That's awesome, especially because you had a good amount of time. Highlights from the theme parks. You mentioned you had never been to Toy Story Land. So obviously you'd probably seen stuff online and all that, but I always try to stay spoiler free, but that's a long time.
It's a long time.
2018, I think, because I got a Magic Band. I was at the media event before it opened. I think it was 2018, that summer.
It was.
Yeah. Okay, good. So yeah, you're not staying spoiler free that long. So what did you think of that land when you got there? You guys big Toy Story fans?
Not huge Toy Story fans, and actually we didn't go on the new rides.
You didn't do Slinky Dog.
No, we didn't make it. We actually, my sister and her husband had a friend who was with us that day, and she wanted to do certain things too. So we did Toy Story Mania, which is probably one of my favorite things in Hollywood Studios. I think it's so fun. But I would say highlights from the theme. Oh, the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster was awesome.
Okay. I think it's awesome too, but I'm too old for that thing. I did it the one time at the media event. We were allowed to go as many times we wanted in 6 hours. I said, check, please. After one, because I had done it for the show, I could talk about it, but I got off the thing. And I think this is a good sign for an attraction, right? I don't know if you felt this way. I felt like, what just happened? When I got off, I was like,
yeah,
I love the 80s music, because I got September. I was rocking on Earth, Wind, and Fire. This is awesome. And I remember it's like a cosmic, something blew up like a galaxy or a black hole or something. And all of a sudden, all I know is I was spinning on 7 different axes, and stuff was happening.
Wild.
I was going through a helix. And then all of a sudden I was just I was dizzy and I was off the thing. I was like, I don't even know what happened to me. It was awesome, but my body can't take this.
That's fair. I think where my family is definitely roller coaster people. Actually, not my sister's husband. He was like you. He was one and done.
Whoa.
Yeah. But the rest of us, we got off, and it was, I think about these kind of dark roller coasters as Space Mountain is the original Rock and Roller Coasters, the next iteration, and then Cosmic Rewind is the new one. And it's so cool what they've done with it. I'm going back in March with my partner because he wasn't able to make it, because between that and Galaxy's Edge, I was like, oh, this dude has to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to think about the evolution kind of the indoor roller coaster. Space Mountain kind of version A Rock and Roller Coaster, let's step it up a little bit faster,
Mhm.
at launch at the beginning instead of, just the lift hill. And then Guardians of the Galaxy, hold my beer. Here we
Yeah, Space Mountain used to be my favorite. We went on it and I was like, I don't think my back can handle that one. Like
I'm with you. I
it
love
was
Space Mountain. Space Mountain does not love me anymore.
no, I like the smooth rides now.
It's still, yeah, me trying to get out of Space Mountain is just a joke at this point. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, when I get on, because I'm still stupid enough that is one of my favorite attractions because it's classic and I just love it. I've always
Mhm.
loved it. But I mean, when I get on, I almost got to tell the cast member, okay, have the paramedics standing by over in the unload version so they can, or a crane,
It's rough.
because I can't get out of it. It's too low. I can't.
It's really low, yeah.
I'm crawling out of there like, I'm crashed bobsled or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so you guys like that? What were some other highlights? You mentioned Galaxy's Edge. So what did you think about that? Another new.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool. We did Rise of the Resistance, which I actually did not watch a spoiler for that one, so I didn't know what to expect.
Impressive.
That was really cool. I kind of envy the cast members who work there, who work for
Yeah.
I'm not that into Star
The
Wars.
Empire.
The bad guys. Yes, thank you.
You want to get paid to be mean. Okay.
Amazing. They must like their faces must not hurt at the end of the day from having to smile all day. Like they must be so happy.
No, that's right.
Yeah, Rise of the Resistance was awesome. Galaxy's Edge, I mean, it's gorgeous. It's so immersive. I know everyone already knows this, but I didn't. So it was cool.
Let me ask you this though, kind of a general thing, because people have opinions on this and I like to get them because I think we can all learn from each other. You guys did use Genie Plus. So give us the positives, the negatives. What did you feel about the cost versus value? Because you've obviously been a person who's been comfortable with obviously Fast Pass in the past. So
Yeah.
what would you think of that whole different experience this time around?
I would say for value, we thought it was very valuable. I'm not paying for 5 people to do it, right? We all kind of pay for ourselves. So that could be a factor, but I don't think that we would have been able to do half of what we did had we not had it. And it was kind of a learning experience as well. Our first park day was Magic Kingdom. And we definitely didn't maximize how we used it and kind of learn throughout the trip what to do. But for a family like us who doesn't go frequently and you want to do certain things, I think it was worth it.
Yeah, I think your use case is perfect because you're not, like you said, you're kind of all paying your own way. So you're not buying like, I think where it really adds up is like where you're times 4, times 5 kind of situation, because that's where
Yeah.
it gets very costly for a day.
Yeah.
But also, if you're going 6 times a year, you have more opportunity to do every experience. You might not do it this trip, but if you're going to be back in 3 months, it's not so critical. But if you're not going to be back for 3 years, you know, considering what you're paying for the overall vacation package, what's another $25 to ensure that
Mhm.
you get to have a great experience like a Rise of Resistance? Because you don't want to go home and like you spend all this money on a vacation, yet you didn't get to have this awesome experience on Rise.
Yeah.
It is-
We actually we bought the Genie Plus, but we didn't buy any of the individual lightning lanes. We instead did the early entry hours for every park. Again, we definitely messed up on Magic Kingdom. So we didn't go on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at all. But we did that for the other parks and we were able to go on we like rope drop, Test Track, Flights of Passage, and Rise of the Resistance.
So do you have any tips though that you learned like throughout the week with using Genie Plus that maybe you could pass on to the listeners? Because there's still a ton of people who've not used the system yet. And people are asking me, and I just like to ask, guests to come on the show because you just used it. So did you learn anything?
Yeah, I would say read articles and watch videos on how it's currently working, because my understanding is even from when I went a month ago, it's changed. Like the modification option has changed. So I would say learn how it works now. There are a lot of YouTube videos where, people go through, you can see their screen exactly how to use it. That was very helpful.
Good tip, because that, it's very dynamic because Disney can push an update to the system and, you know, all the
Yeah.
rules slightly change or sometimes they change pretty dramatically. So that's a great tip. And just kind of, I would say, go into the app and just look around. Just my tip for the My Disney Experience app as a whole, not just Genie Plus, before your trip, go in and look at all the options. Hit that hamburger menu, which is the 3 lines, see what else there is hidden in there. Just look around and get familiar with where everything is.
Yep.
It doesn't hurt to just click around and see what's going on before your trip.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, so let's talk dining because we're 25 minutes in and we got to talk food. So,
Yep.
what if I had to ask you right now? You get to go back to have one of the experiences you had on this trip again. You get to go to one of the dining locations. Where are you going? What was the highlight?
I actually am doing that. And we're going to Homecoming.
Nice.
Yeah, we did brunch there.
Comfort food.
It was very good.
So why did you like it so much?
I guess it's fried chicken. I mean,
exactly. It's fried food.
It's like very good fried chicken. if people are into it, the hype it's valid.
I try to describe Homecoming to some people here, because I have a ton of friends that are not Disney people, and I do love Homecoming. And I try to tell them it's kind of like a fancy Cracker Barrel menu. Like, I mean, Cracker Barrel is a lot of like chicken and dumplings and fried chickens and stuff. I mean, it's all comfort food, but Homecoming's like the fancy version of that. And you have chicken and donuts and the hummingbird cake, and of course you got the moonshine. And I tried once and it was like jet fuel.
Yeah.
That stuff was smoking. I couldn't take that, but yeah, I mean, it's a great atmosphere. Like, it's a great vibe in there. I've been there a few times, and I just love the way the atmosphere is. Very laid back.
Yep.
So, give us a couple of your other places that you enjoyed during your trip.
We liked a lot in Disney Springs. So, tried Chicken Guy, that was delicious. The Polite Pig, that was really good. Barbecue, we're very into like sweets, so my sister went to Salt and Straw every night. She was there, and then Everglades, the donuts were really good.
You're
like those a lot too.
You're
I know.
Salt and Straw in the Everglades donuts,
and they're right next to each other.
I know, because when Mallory's not doing competitive cheer this year, she focused on high school cheer. But so we're not doing Summit this year, which always takes place in May, first week of May, down at Walt Disney World. And we always stayed at a Disney Springs hotel, which I hated, other than I could walk right across the street to Disney Springs, and I'd always go to either, last year I went to Salt and Straw or Everglades or Ghirardelli or someplace like, oh, I'm going to miss that trip this year. Mallory should be cheering. So it does say that you guys also went to Topolino's Terrace. What'd you think of that?
Oh my gosh. I want to stay in that resort so badly. So we actually, it's so beautiful. And I've heard all of that and seen the pictures, but you don't know until you go there. So we actually did kind of like a DVC room tour as well, because I wanted to see what they looked like. So we had like a really great host, got to see the rooms. So one day maybe we'll stay there. But Topolino's Terrace was delicious. We had it for dinner. Pricey. I actually had their like their version of the old fashioned when I was there. It was delicious.
I'm an old fashioned expert at this point.
Exactly. So but that was just me and my mom. And we actually, it was beautiful weather. It's the beginning of December. It was gorgeous. And we just they have a terrace. So we ended up just sitting out there for 20 minutes before our reservation. We didn't even know it existed. And we were just sitting out there, and it was so lovely. I was like, Mom, we need to stay here. And with the Skyliner, I was like, oh my gosh.
The Riv is where it's at.
It's where it's at. It's very expensive, I'm sure, from $1 and a DVC points perspective, but I would love to stay there.
Again, I stayed there one night, and it's just because I crashed with Scott. Because he was there. Like, I came in I had a hotel reservation for the whole stay, but it's one of those deals where like, dude, I'll come down a day early. Like, I don't have a place to stay. He's like, oh, we got a 1-bedroom. It's cool. You can sleep on the pull down. And yeah, I bet I'll be telling you what, the pull down bed was as comfortable as like regular beds at any other resort. It was amazing. Yeah, that's a great place. So you got a chance to kind of explore the grounds, get to see the mosaic archway there by the Skyliner. Oh,
yeah,
awesome. It is really nice. It has a
It's
great
so
resort. And
yeah,
the
they
funny
did a
thing is,
really good job.
I don't know how you felt about this because again, you've been going for a while. When they were building that, I thought, oh, this is gonna be the most ugly, like sterile looking hotel. I had a problem with Coronado's Tower too when they were building that. I'm like, this is not the Walt Disney World aesthetic. Everything at Walt Disney World is like flat. Even Pop Century, All Stars, like 3-4 stories max. Everything was kind of low profile. And then all of a sudden, I mean, what am I saying though? The Contemporary is huge, but I guess it's the Contemporary. I don't know.
Mhm.
My logic doesn't make sense. When they started building these tall buildings like the Riviera and the Tower at Coronado, I'm like, no, this is going to ruin everything. But now, 5 years later, it's supposed to be there. It looks great.
It's
Well,
so yeah, Disney probably doesn't always make the right decisions, but sometimes you gotta trust them.
that's true. That's very true. Let me
Yeah.
ask you, okay, speaking of that, because I just want to get your opinion on because we had some news happen last week and I was gonna catch your thoughts on this. While you were down there, did you guys spend any time seeing fireworks shows, Phantasmic, any nighttime spectaculars?
No, those actually aren't really our things. And because we got to the park so early, we are I'm not a teenager anymore. And so we were in bed pretty early. So we didn't make it until the nighttime shows.
Do you have a favorite nighttime show at all? I mean, was there one from the past that you used to enjoy, or do you always bail early?
My memory My memory from being a child is that I hated fireworks, and my dad, I used to sit on his lap and his huge hands would go over my ears when we would watch them in the
Okay.
Magic Kingdom. So I don't remember very much.
So you're cool with all the changes that were announced. So you don't really care that Happily Ever After is replacing Enchantment, that Harmonious is going away. Are you glad? Tell me at least that you're glad the barges are going out of World Showcase again. Come
They
on.
were pretty ugly.
Yeah, just the tacos. And I mean, I'm a taco fan.
They're
You
huge.
will not find a bigger fan of tacos than this guy right here. But get rid of the taco barges, man.
I
Bring
felt like the pictures didn't do it justice to understand just how much space they took up.
Oh man, dude,
Huge.
they're huge. And I
Yeah.
mean, I know some people loved Harmonious, and I'm not trying to rain on your parade. It just wasn't my thing. And I mean, yeah, and everybody things come and go, and Walt Disney World's a dynamic place, and they always try new things. But Epcot Forever's coming back beginning of April, and Happily Ever After. I'm excited for Happily Ever After because that show I didn't like it at first because it took Wish's place, and I loved Wishes. I'm very bad with change. Like I don't when something I like goes away, I'm bitter at the replacement. It's like in sports too. Albert Pujols retired from my Cardinals this year. So did Yadier Molina, our catcher. And I know we're going to have a new, guy come take both of their places this year on the Cardinals. I'm trying to not be mean to them. I'm gonna appreciate them because it's not their fault that they're replacing these guys. They're just the next person up. So
Yep.
Happily Ever After finally grew on me. That's because Mallory really liked it, so I have a connection there. And I'm just excited though because Disney made some moves over the past week that has me super excited as a Disney fan. It has me super excited to have this podcast again to get to rather than, when I open up the phone lines on Sunday night for a live call-in show, we're complaining about this, we're complaining about that. You know what? It really feels like we were heard for a change.
Mhm.
I know it's not a big deal that, we don't have to pay for parking at the hotels, but for the trend is moving in the right direction for the first time it feels like a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that. Maybe things will go. What about, I mean, are you excited? You guys are roller coaster fans? Tron, I mean, opening on 4/4. What
Yeah,
about that?
we're
Excited for
we're
that?
not gonna be there. We're gonna be there before then, unfortunately, so we won't see it, or we won't get to experience it, but it looks awesome. From what we saw, it looks really cool.
So as we wrap this up, what are your plans for your next trip? What do you got on the horizon? 'Cause it sounds like you have something booked and ready to go.
Yeah, I am so it's just me and my partner. We're staying at Saratoga. I'm hoping we get, like, close to Disney Springs so we can just walk really quickly there, and then we're doing just 2 days at Disney, so we're doing Epcot one day and Hollywood Studios the next day, but I found out that Disney's having their after hours events have returned,
Mhm.
and so my partner requested that we go to the Magic Kingdom one, so we're doing that one evening as well because he hasn't been to Disney in like 15 years.
Oh man.
Yes. So he
Everything.
wants to do all of the things. And then we have a couple days off and we're doing Universal for a couple days.
Nice. Well,
Gotta
that'll be
do
a
the
fun
thrill
trip.
rides.
Oh gosh, yeah, you guys have a great time.
Yeah,
Just one thing you gotta do for me, ride ET. I love ET over there.
I would love to.
That's my style right
Yeah.
there, ET. All right, well, hey, Kelly, thanks for coming on the show. Wow, it sounds like you had a great trip. To be back at Old Key West today would make my heart happy. But anything, I'm just glad we get to do the podcast, and I hope to hear about your next trip. And have a great one. Thanks for kicking off the week with us here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
All righty. Don't forget, our show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip. Just swing by the magicforless.com today. Fill out that free, no obligation quote form. And if you mention the Be Our Guest podcast, that quote will come to me, Mike Rallman, and I'll help you plan a great vacation. We'll be working together. It'll be fun, I promise you. So check it out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click helps support everything we do here on the show throughout the entire year. So when you go shopping online, remember us here at the Be Our Guest podcast. Just click through beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And again, a sincere thank you to the patrons of the Be Our Guest podcast. You guys make all these shows possible, and our patrons get that bonus show called Mike in the Midwest, kind of reflections on my growing up here in Missouri. And, some behind the scenes stuff from the podcast each and every week on Tuesdays. So if you'd like to join us, we'd sure love to have you. Coming over patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast. Give me a follow on the social media. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on Instagram and Twitter. Also, please come by the Facebook page. We have a Facebook fan page. We'd love for you to like that. It's just look for the Be Our Guest Podcast. We post everything over there. And of course, we have an Instagram page for the show as well. Be Our Guest Pod. Give us a follow over there as well. And join us this Sunday night, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central, as we take your calls. It's the BOGP open line. We have fun talking Disney with you live here on Facebook and YouTube. All right, time to get out of here and let you get on with your week. So for Kelly, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Monday. Whatever you do, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Boom. That was a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to
You memorize all that?
I've only done it 2,000 times. I used to have, like, at my old house, I had like a little printout. That's how old it was. I had like printouts. Yeah, I think I've got it by now.
Yeah.
I did.
That's awesome. You did great.
I used to have the opening scripts and everything. Yeah, I figured it out after 15 years. So.
Mike, the podcast is awesome to listen to. I love it. It's just nice to, like, feel like you're down there without, being able to be down there. I think it brings a lot of joy to a lot of people.
That means a ton to me because I hope you know, I have a blast doing these. Like, this is, if I couldn't have been a school teacher, I always wanted to work in radio because my dad worked in radio, right? But my dad never wanted me to work in radio because in radio, like, if you get a bad ratings book, like, you can go in on a Thursday and just, like, the whole show's fired, just like, oh, we're going a different direction. And he always wanted me to have a job where, like, I had a consistent paycheck, because it's like,
that's fair.
Right. He's like, so do something where you're stable. So that's why I became a teacher. I like teaching too. But, and then when I became a travel agent, it freaked me out too, but I had to try something, I was like, I'm taking a chance. I did this for 17 years. Yeah, but this is like my toy store, like, this is like, I get to have fun. I love doing this. And then people come on and tell me about their trips.
Mm-hmm.
It still blows me away after 15 years.
It's so fun.
I love it. Well, thanks for coming on, and Happy New Year up in Pennsylvania, and hope to run into you down at the park sometime. It'd be awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, take care, Kelly. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.